Shalom. Welcome to Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman. I'm joined in the studio by Mark Finkelstein of the Jewish Federation of Greater Des Moines. You know me, I'm Rabbi of Temple B'nai Jeshurun in Des Moines, and this is Rabbi Kaufman's Understanding the World. And we are today going to be talking mostly about the peace process, but also about other events going on in the world. But first, the world in 5 minutes. So the major issues that are going on right now, there is rocket fire coming down out of Gaza toward the southern part of Israel. It's been ongoing for the most part since yesterday, very significantly yesterday, but still a few rockets today. Theoretically, Islamic Jihad said, we negotiated a peace. The Israelis weren't even sure there was a peace. 60 rockets came down yesterday, 3 more today at least that we know of. I believe that all of them have been intercepted by Iron Dome or have fallen in open ground. You've got to understand, however, that even though these rockets aren't hitting anything, they're still doing a lot of economic damage because it costs $100,000 for each interception of one of them. So 2 rockets are fired from the Iron Dome system for each rocket that they intercept. And so you're talking about a good bit of money, even just intercepting the rockets that they've intercepted. So let's not minimize the costs involved here and the damage even of just firing all those rockets. Any retaliation done by Israel, however, is going to be much more substantial. So the other side needs to worry that they do so much that they encourage Israel to actually launch significant strikes against Gaza, because those strikes would certainly do more damage. So there may be some negotiations ongoing. Israel doesn't want to get into that. The Hamas government certainly doesn't want to get involved in a war started by Islamic Jihad in Iran to undermine them, and that seems to be what's going on right now. The IDF responded last night with some limited airstrikes in Gaza. Don't know the impact of those airstrikes. We really haven't heard much of anything, so that's where things stand. As it stands today, Russia has taken over the Crimea region of Ukraine already. They already had troops stationed in the Crimea, so it wasn't a matter of needing to move more troops into the Crimea. But they're now threatening with amassing troops on the border of the rest of Ukraine, the Russian border with the rest of Ukraine. Whether they're going to do anything or not, they're certainly threatening the possibility of sending troops into Ukraine should the West respond in some way. So if you think things aren't escalating there, they are, and it's a very bad situation. Last week, there was also a weapons shipment that was intercepted on the way from Syria through Sudan to Gaza, potentially to Hamas, potentially to Islamic Jihad. They were Iranian weapons, and the Israelis and the United States are both certain that it was an Iranian weapons shipment that was directed from Syria going to Gaza. It was intercepted. It had longer range missiles and a lot of other rockets. And the threat to Israel from this weaponry that was intercepted would have been very bad. Particularly considering what happened yesterday with the launching of the rockets yesterday, it's entirely possible that this whole thing was a premeditated beginning of a new conflict, potentially to undermine the upcoming peace talks, potentially to undermine President Abbas's negotiating position when he comes to the United States. It could all be functionally internal Palestinian politics going on here, making sure that no concessions were made and attempting to derail any possible negotiations that could be brought forth by the United States. That's all possible. It's also simply possible that they've given up on the peace process and that this is an attempt to move forward. So we don't know if this is a group trying to derail the efforts of the Palestinian Authority, or if it's being done with the full understanding that the peace process isn't going anywhere and that they are going to try to resort to another intifada. explicitly anyway, it was being done simply in retaliation of Israel striking another group of people who were going to fire a rocket a day earlier, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's hard to claim that you're retaliating with rocket fire for somebody else stopping your rocket fire a day before. That doesn't really work as a cycle of violence, as like people like to talk about. So that's kind of where things are today, and we'll talk much more after a short break.